skies were once filled with stars. Today, our own lights eclipse the darkness and spread steadily each day. Slowly, the dark places in Africa become the last refuge for one of our planet's most iconic animals. "50 years ago, 450,000 lions lived here, and today there may be as few